I've been waiting for a farming game which focuses a little bit more on the sense of community and having interesting characters rather than cabbages who are boring to talk to, and Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life promised just that. So does it really do that, or does it grow tedious very quickly? Hello you gorgeous human being, it's Miss Bubbles. Thank you Xseed for gifting me with a game code. In this Before You Buy, I will help you decide if Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life is the game for you. And before we get started, make sure to squish the like button so we can smack the algorithm right in the face. Starting with the story, your character decides to go to the Forgotten Valley to establish a family there. So you meet Takakura for the first time, and he's going to be essential for your new journey because he'll provide you with everything that you need to know to run your farm successfully. He'll let you name your farm, teach you about the ledger where you can buy facilities, animals, and animal feed, show you the shipping box to sell stuff, and he'll let you choose your dog from 2 options. Can you guess what name I went with for my dog? Yup, it's Teddy as always. You'll also get your first cow for free, and he'll leave you with a notebook that you can revisit whenever you want to access more tips. You'll also customize your character and name yourself, and I like the variety of hairstyles. Here, instead of choosing your gender, you can choose your pronouns, and don't worry, you can romance any of the bachelors and bachelorettes. Now, this game is all about the community in Forgotten Valley. So you'll be introduced to different people, see their shops, meet their families, and most importantly, meet the sprites who live in a tree in the forest, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about that in the gameplay section. So the main focus in this game is to make sure that you get married within the first year of your gameplay. That might seem like a long time, but different from modern farming games, in A Wonderful Life, every season is only 10 days long, so you actually need to move a little bit fast. Let's start with your farm. You have your house where you can access the TV to check the weather, your luck, and watch some shows. You can also sleep, check the calendar for interesting events, and cook as well. Cooking is a big part of the game. Not only do you use it to give yourself more stamina and fuel, but you can also use it as gifts. So that's where the sprites come in. By visiting the forest and eating weird mushrooms every day, you'll access new recipes to make. And of course, you need crops to make these recipes, and the amount of crops is not that insane, and each crop has its own season. It can flower and then be harvested in. Now, on your farm, you have 2 crop fields, one that is more fertile than the other, and then you have an extra one that you can buy. But don't worry about that. You can use fertilizers to make sure that the soil will give you better crops year after year. You also have the coop and the barn, which can be upgraded, and this is where your cows, chicken, sheep, horse, etc. will live, and you have to make sure to take care of your animals. You're gonna have to feed them, snuggle with them, brush them, and also you can actually breed them. So when you're finished with your farm work, you can also go fishing, which is pretty easy to do, but you can also mine, and mining is very different from the other farming games that we have grown used to in the modern farming genre. Basically, you have only one floor to explore, and you'll just dig and retrieve artifacts, and by 5 p.m, Carter will take anything valuable and leave the rest with you, some of which are actually great gifts, like giving the coin to Rock as a gift. However, the most annoying thing here is that Carter keeps getting in your way when mining, and at some point I really felt like he just doesn't want me to get any work done. Another thing you can do is visit one of the faraway towns, and this is more like the rabbit holes that you see in some of the older Sims games, so you only get a short text displaying what you did when you visited, and at least that's what I saw from my tips there when I played, and the time will also advance by 6 hours. And of course, you can go to the main hub in the Forgotten Valley and meet some of the various townsfolk. There's a bulletin board to pick up a couple of side quests per season, a coffee shop, an inn, and this is also where many of the cutscenes will happen. Here you can also buy your crops, but the process is kind of annoying because you have to buy a set of the same crop at the same time, sit through some dialogue, even if you want to buy something else, and then rinse and repeat. This is also where Van comes every 3rd and 8th of the month, and you can sell him different items, especially those that can be sold through your farm's shipping box. The game follows a trigger system, so whenever you want to unlock something or do something, even like getting your horse, you have to kind of trigger a set of events to reach that point. So even things like meeting new people and even upgrading your tools will require the same process. As such, your goal is to find a spouse, and you can go around, talk to the people every day, give them up to 4 gifts daily depending on the character, and the more affection they have for you, the more cutscenes you'll have to learn more about them, and eventually you'll get a blue feather which you can give to whoever you want to marry. I chose to marry Rock. I felt like he's pretty cute but also pretty lazy, and it was like a funny dynamic between the both of us, but I'm interested in who you are going to romance. The tedious thing though, and pretty much the game-breaking aspect for me, is the dialogue. It's extremely repetitive, and I found myself craving every single cutscene so I can experience something new and interesting. What I did love though is the festivals that I saw and how the townsfolk will reflect on them the next day, other than act like nothing happened. Eventually you'll get married and have a child who you need to raise, and they will get different jobs based on whose kid you're having. Sadly, I never got to that part. By the 6th day of fall, I just completely lost interest in the game and I kinda gave up. The bachelors and the bachelorettes seem interesting to get to know, but I just couldn't play any longer after 10 hours to learn more about them, and I'm gonna tell you more about the experience that led me to this by the end of this video. But let's talk a little bit about the presentation here, because there's plenty to praise. Forgotten Valley looks beautiful and it's pretty compact, so it's easy to get around either by foot or with your horse. I love the forest and how whimsical it looks, and the pop of color on the Nintendo Switch is chef's kiss. The HUD is pretty clean as well, with very little on the screen, and I like this instead of the HUD in, let's say, Sunhaven, which is very cluttered and too busy all the time. You can also zoom in and out, and by the way, you have a camera, and it made it so easy to look at the detailing and how beautiful this game is. Even when entering people's homes, there's so much attention to detail in the items and the furniture they have. And we can't not talk about the menu, and this is 100% handsome menu over here. And thank the Lord you can save right from the menu instead of having to go to bed every time, otherwise you're gonna lose all your progress. But in the menu, you can also take a look at the bulletin requests that you've accepted, your relationship with the townsfolk, your stamina, energy, and fullness levels, different wonders you've accomplished, and these actually act like achievements in the game. And I must admit, in the relationship section, I love how the characters look. They're absolutely adorable. In the sound department, there is no voice acting, which is completely fine for me. Sound effects get the job done and help you immerse yourself more into the game, and the music is very beautiful and charming. I really enjoyed the soundtrack. Performance on the Nintendo Switch is smooth as butter, and I loved playing both in handheld and in docked mode. Even when there was things like heavy rain, the game never stuttered or lagged, and I also did not experience any bugs or issues at all, and that was pretty awesome to see a well-polished farming game make its way to the Nintendo Switch. So we've talked about the good and the bad, but is this game the one for you? We're gonna go with this game is for you if, not for you if, and my verdict. This game is 100% for you if you played the original and have that nostalgia factor for it. It's also for you if you've been wanting to get a taste of how older farming games used to be. It's for you if you love a trigger-based system progression. It's for you if you like a balance between time on the farm and time getting to know townsfolk. And it's also for you if you have the patience to sit through some repetitive dialogue and progress through the years to see the story unfold. However, this game is not for you if you like lots of gameplay variety, because you won't find it here. It's not for you if you grow tired of repetitive dialogue very quickly. It's not for you if you don't enjoy trigger systems similar to those in Rune Factory 4. It's not for you if you usually hate interacting with townsfolk and prefer farming and other activities instead. And finally, it's not for you if you don't like time limits, such as having to get married within the first year of the game. As for my verdict, this was one of my most anticipated games of 2023. I mentioned the game in many of my videos and expressed how excited I am to play a game with an emphasis on the characters. And while I was so excited to play the game and enjoyed its novelty in the beginning, it grew very boring, repetitive, and tedious for me, and I'm actually very sad to say that. I couldn't sit through one more repetitive dialogue. I couldn't stand Carter being in my way in the mines all the time, and I saw myself finding it a chore to play a game where I couldn't even finish the first year. I adore farming games, and for me to get bored this quickly was rather shocking to me, I'm not gonna lie. This is not the game's fault by any means. Remember, this is a remake of a much older title. It was simply just not the game for me. Are you buying Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life? Let me know in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're interested in my 10 out of 10 farming games, then check out this video next. Stay bubbly, stay positive, and I'll see your gorgeous self in the next one. Bye! Thank you to my Patreon and YouTube channel members who continue to support my channel and give me so much love. Links to both in the pinned comment. And a shout out goes to The Game Dimension, Faye, Jacob, Stephanie, Steven, Dark One, and Jake Logan for going the extra mile. Y'all are bubbly awesome.